Thank you all for coming out. You had asked, I believe, if I was going to talk about some of the stuff from last time or what did you miss. So there's a lot of topics that we covered last time. A lot of it was traditional Chinese medicine and over-the-counter type, I don't know if you call them medications that you can get to manage different types of pain. Yes?
Well, I remember you were going to an acupuncturist that night and you were going to tell us how good this person was.
Yeah, I actually went there to teach a class, a Tai Chi class, but I didn't get acupuncture from him. I've known him for a couple months now. We've started to have this relationship where I teach classes there, and he gets more traffic of people coming in to see the center. So, yeah, I don't really know exactly of his experience or his expertise. I'm assuming he's good. You know, I'm hoping. He's certified and has all the credentials and stuff, so nice guy. What did come up, though, was I talked about this class in a topic over there. Although I was teaching physical exercises for Tai Chi, the topic of traditional Chinese medicine came up with cupping. And I had the little kit with me last time that I showed you. You know, it's like a ball, plastic ball, and you put it on different parts of the body, and it increases circulation, and then shortly thereafter you end up getting a red spot that looks kind of like a bruise. So that was interesting that they, asked about it. So I discussed a bit about acupuncture, which is what this guy kind of demonstrates, kind of like a printed circuit board, how there's different energy pathways that flow through the body. Not really the vascular system. It's not veins and arteries. It's not all. It is also not the nervous system, and that it's not just electrical charges that go through the nerves. So some of the stuff we're going to talk about today will briefly touch upon traditional Chinese medicine. But today we're going to do some interactive exercises with what we're doing too. So what I did want to do is get this next slide to come up here. Come on, now it doesn't like me. Can always use the arrow key, I guess. There we go. This I gave out at the end of the last class. I have more of them here today. So if you have a question on any of these different types of, therapies or pain managements, we can discuss that. If you had questions from last time, or right now, different things that maybe I didn't cover last time. I talked a little bit about Tai Chi, which is physical exercises and movement, Pilates, different type of exercise. These kind of get you into the kind of spiritual or awareness type of practices. Up here we have diet and herbs, vitamins. I touched upon that a little bit last time, and I brought some of these little concoctions passed them around for you folks to smell them, and oh, this is something that might not be so bad to use. This one has menthol and camphor in it. So we did talk about that. As far as aromatherapy and herbs, it's kind of in that same family. Over on this side, we have physical exercise, which we're going to do a couple different exercises. Chiropractic, osteopathy, reflexology I talked about a bit. So now you start getting over here into energy therapies, which a lot of it has to do with breathing or magnets, biofeedback, light therapy. So it's all different types of things that you can do that aren't necessarily going to a doctor to get a opioid or anti-inflammatory, some type of medication that might give you side effects down the road. So any questions on any of these things? I gave a bunch of you that came, I gave you the sheet, so if you got it for reference, you can look at it, and in the future, we got one more class, we can talk about it a little bit. So no questions on the past stuff, let's keep going. Got to take a deep breath, right? So it is often overlooked how important our breathing is, the whole breathing mechanism, breathing process. Different cultures look at breathing somewhat differently. Western medicine, typically in the United States, oxygen. So like either you're breathing, getting in the right amount of oxygen, or you're not. It's kind of like a on or off, whereas other cultures don't look at breathing so simple. They look at it more the quality of your breath, how long you take breaths, how frequently you breathe, the air that you do breathe, is it of good quality? In traditional Chinese medicine and martial arts, they call it qi, and the practices are qigong and other martial arts exercises. In Indian culture, Eastern Indian, you have prana, and their practices are Ayurveda and pranayama. That's like yoga. Naturopathy, that's been around in the United States since early 1900s. They call it the vital force. A lot of that with naturopathy is being in nature, going out and getting fresh air and being around trees and plants and wildlife. Pneuma, you heard pneumonia has to do with the lungs, so that's another presentation of what the breath is. In meditation, they call it all of these different things and others. So again, if you all have any questions as we go through this, please stop. This isn't supposed to be me lecturing. It's supposed to be us discussing. So if I come up to something here and you're like, I don't understand what that is. What is Reiki? What is pranayama or whatever? Just ask a question. Don't be bashful. So the breathing process, when we're young, we breathe very deep as babies because they don't know better. Babies don't talk, they don't speak, they're not smoking, they're not eating. All they're doing is going on instinct. So they'll breathe very deep, and you'll notice that the tummy, the abdomen, the diaphragm area moves mostly when the little children breathe. As we get older, it gets higher up. And again, that's because of the things I just said. We're talking as we're doing this. I'm breathing more shallow when I'm giving a discussion. If you're eating dinner, chances are you're not breathing as deep. People that are smoking could go both ways. If they really like to smoke, they're going to breathe really deep. Or if they're still like socializing while they're smoking and eating, then again, it's very shallow breathing. So our goal really over course of our lifetime is to keep the breath low as possible. And the diaphragm is this muscle that's right about here, the bottom of your lungs, between the organs. And if you move that area more, you're going to get deeper breaths. So here's a little more of a visualization of this. The little baby breathes all the way down to the navel. We get a little bit older. We're above the navel, up the sternum. By the time we get older, whatever age you happen to be, you're breathing more shallow than when you're a child. The bottom, or the two on the right, give a little bit of an idea where you're putting the focus when you're breathing with your stomach. So again, this is where most people in the United States, they look at breathing as just good if you're doing it. If you're not so good. Kind of black and white. When you go see a doctor, oftentimes, they'll put the stethoscope on your chest and they'll listen for your heartbeat and that. They tell you to take a deep breath, but they don't always acknowledge where you're breathing from. So people take a deep breath and they go like this, and their chest gets big. And then they breathe out, and the chest flattens. And that's like, oh, good, you're breathing, and they're checking again your heart. But really what would be better is if they put the focus here. So when you breathe in, your stomach, it's the diaphragm really, but the stomach, that's the region on that previous slide there, right? You got your liver over here, but the stomach is kind of like over here, I believe. So the more you move the abdomen area, again, we have deeper breaths. You're moving the organs a little bit. They bump into each other. So I brought up this last time too about the nervous system, the fight or flight, and the rest and digest. Some of you have heard about that before. The example I gave was if that door flies open and someone comes in and says, there's a fire, and then the fire alarms go off, you're already at a heightened state of awareness then. And all the things on the left start to happen. Your eyes get real wide, you're like looking around, your depth of focus decreases, so you don't see the things on the outside so much, you look at what's in front of you. And then the obvious things are your heartbeat increases, your breathing starts to get, what's going on? So that's not just because of a fire though. It could be stress. It could be things happening in your life that are bothering you. Relationships, finances, the weather, all different things put us over on this side over here. When we're more relaxed, it goes the opposite way. All right, your heart slows, your breathing slows, your digestion starts to work more. So let's keep going. Everything that we take in is sensory input, whether it's the temperature in the room, the lights are bright, it bothers me, the sound, if we had loud music playing right now, all those different things as input, sensory input, affects your nervous system, which either again puts us on the left side where we're in a state of being agitated, or on the opposite side where we're relaxed, tranquil. So if we become more aware of these things, of what bothers us, that can help us to relieve stress too. So why do I put attention by senses and stress and things that bother us? those are things that add to chronic illness. So if people have a lot of stress in their life, say they're sitting at a desk a lot, more stress sometimes manifests into the lower back or the neck and shoulders because they're sitting behind a desk. So it's like all that sensory input, their eyes are strained looking at a computer screen, it's going to show up somewhere else in the body. Noise. If you listen to loud, intense, banging type of music, that affects the nervous system. You listen to more orchestra type music or easy listening, jazz music, that's more tranquil. And that can relax the nervous system. So each one of these things I can go back and forth with it. Smell, you smell roses. Oh, it smells nice, it's great. You smell something that's spoiled, not so much, and that affects your nervous system. If you're around it all day long, every day for 20, 30, 40 years of your life, it does start to take a toll, and that's why some people have chronic illness. It's connected to what we put into the senses. So here we have our work, career. Some of you folks are not working anymore, right? You're hanging out. So you have your health and your family and maybe social interaction. And again, those are all different things that are taken in with the senses, and they manifest into different emotions that affect your organs. So, yes?
Are you saying an excess of joy is bad for the heart?
Yes. An excess of anything is out of balance. So not enough, not good. Too much, not good either. So sometimes people that have too much joy, they don't necessarily see the spectrum of what, you gotta have something to compare it to, right? So occasionally you have these ups and downs. If you're always at that one state, when you go to the opposite direction, it's much more dramatic because of the contrast. The same way, if you don't have some anger in your life, you can't appreciate not having it, if that makes sense. So you don't want to be angry all the time, but it is an emotion that you're going to experience. And if you don't experience it and let it out, it will affect the organs. The simple ones are like your lungs, grief. The way that works is when you're sad, you find yourself sighing more often. It affects your lungs. So I didn't want to bring this up today, but my dog, I had to drop her off this morning at the vet. She's not doing good. Had her for 15 years. So I noticed when we took her in, she's there now, I'm waiting for a phone call or a text to see how she's doing. I started to do this breathing, like my own medicine of this, the discussions here. I started to take deep breaths, and it's like, my dog, my friend. So that's an easy one. The lungs are affected by grief. Kidneys are affected by fear. And with the same token, with animals, oftentimes when they're afraid, if they've been abused or injured, they lose bladder control. So it's really easy to see that the emotions do connect to the body. But again, there's an extreme. You have to experience some fear to appreciate, like that hot stove. Otherwise, I'm just going to touch it. No, you do want to be a little bit afraid. So there's always going to be this balance. Yes, Pamela?
How does anger and depression affect the function of your liver?
So a lot of the idea with traditional Chinese medicine is its energy flow. So the emotion affects the liver and the energy that goes to the liver so that the liver can perform its functions. So if you want to get down to the physiological, what's happening, does it slow down production of this chemical or that chemical? I'm not equipped to go into that, but as far as just energy in the body, it's draining. So again, if you go back to the lungs with the grief, if I'm saddened all day, it's going to lower my energy as I constantly am sighing and being depressed. If you're constantly in fear, chances are you're going to lose kidney control. You're going to be going to the bathroom a lot more. So these things have been proven. It's not just traditional Chinese medicine. It is the way our nervous system works, that we are affected by that sensory input. How it does work from a physiological point of view, a little bit more detail. Your brain processes the information through the hypothalamus, and the brain releases different chemicals, specifically from the adrenal glands, norepinephrine or adrenaline and cortisol. And those chemicals go into the bloodstream by way of the nervous system throughout the body, and then the different things that are affected. Conversion of glycogen to glucose. So that's a little bit more detail how your liver is affected by stress. Increased blood pressure, tunnel vision, accelerated heartbeat, and inhibited peristalsis and secretion in the stomach. So your digestion slows down. Oftentimes as we get older, we have a hard time with our digestion. People are either too much or too little. You're constipated or you're the other direction. And oftentimes that's, again, because of stress and different things from over the years. And you can chalk it up to, oh, I have this illness, acid reflux. Well, why does your body have acid reflux? It has a root cause. Sometimes it's genetics, sometimes it's your lifestyle. So this is, again, just a little bit of detail. Signals go from your brain to the adrenal glands, which are located on top of the kidneys. From the kidneys into the bloodstream, and from the bloodstream to the different organs. So the big picture with all this, again, is why are we concerned with stress and chronic illness? It's connected. If you're not a happy person, your body's going to let you know that, right? And vice versa. Your mind heals your body protects your mind. So a lot of the things on the right-hand side here are things that can happen when you have too much stress. And oftentimes these are the things that people are taking medications for. Increased risk of infections, slow healing of wounds, bruises take longer to heal, high blood sugar, problems with sleeping, you find yourself sick more often, gaining weight, headaches, fatigue. And then it just goes on. I can get into all these different ailments, but some of you folks might be more familiar with them than I am. So, oh, by the way, I'm 61. I turned 61 a couple months ago, and I've been teaching and training and learning these different things since I was losing my voice here, 16 years old. So it's a little bit over 40 years that I've been doing these type of discussions and teaching and so forth. So how can we work on this to lower our chronic stress, which will affect our chronic illnesses, is to try to breathe through the nose as much as possible. Warm filtered air is better. It's a better environment for the oxygen to be exchanged in the lungs. Abdominal breathing, again, that's going to make you breathe deeper. If you slow down the breath, slow down the frequency of your breathing, more oxygen is actually absorbed into the body. So I got little pictures that give you some other reasons why breathing through the nose is good. Breathing through the nose can also affect how your neck muscles develop. When you're not breathing through your nose, people have a tendency to lean their chin a little bit more forward. And this goes back to even when they're children. It's a developmental thing that breathing through the nose as children will affect the shape of the mouth and the nasal passages. So if you're breathing through your nose, the structure of the muscles in your neck is more like this. Too much through your mouth over many years, it's going to bring the head a lot far forward, and those neck muscles will start to cause pain in the body too. So these are, again, different images of how the structure of your face can change with breathing through your nose on the top, whereas at the bottom, breathing more through the mouth. They think it even has something to do with the teeth, straightness of the teeth.
On the oxygen thing.
Uh-huh.
On the oxygen.
Yep.
Recently I had some surgery and my oxygen level dropped low, and they told me to take deep breaths, and that brought the oxygen level up.
It brought your oxygen up. That's good. So you're getting more oxygen in your lungs and more throughout the body. So we're going to do some breathing exercises when we get to that point. I purposely put the slides in at the right spot, so it's like, oh, now that's where we're going to go over some stuff. So we're getting there. Abdominal breathing, again, how to move your stomach and the diaphragm to take deeper breaths. So this is a little bit of a graph or a chart, if you will. Just thinking about slowing your breath down, just being aware of it, like sitting here right now, and just slow down your breathing, will get you from what our average being about 12 to 15 breaths per minute. Just thinking about it will get you down to about 10. Just the awareness of it. When we're stressed, we're operating at about 12 to 18 or 15 to 18. So that's kind of high. And you're breathing at that rate. Unless you're doing some kind of physical exercise that you're aware of, how to do it, you're running, you're swimming, walking fast, you don't want your breathing frequency to be that high. So just thinking about your breathing gets you down to about 10 breaths per minute. Anything below 10 breaths per minute gets you back to that being in a more relaxed rest and digest state of being. If you start to think about your breathing and you start to put like timing intervals to it, which I'll show you how to do, it's possible to get your breathing down to almost 4, a little bit less than 4 breaths per minute. And that's like where athletes are at when they're, practicing rowing. My son was on the rowing team, my daughter too, where they can slow down the breathing even though they're doing a lot of physical effort. Now, they don't stay at that rate. When they're trying to make it past the finish line and they're racing, that breathing frequency goes up dramatically, probably over 18 breaths per minute. But we can slow it down. I heard something on the news yesterday on NPR. I was listening to NPR, and they said that there's some island off of Japan where the people that live there were known to be like divers. Everybody that's there dives. That's part of the tradition and their livelihood. And the water is very cold. And they found that these people have a very low rate for their breathing, their heart rate, and their blood pressure is like really optimal. So they said they're going to start conducting more studies to find out what these people are doing better that's helping them to be healthier. And their children, even though they're not in the careers, they're not the ones diving into the water yet, they're healthier too. So it's genetic, it's affecting their genetics. Slow, deep breathing. And the cold water has something to do with it. So the solutions here, you got to determine what your level of fitness is. If you want to remove or manage some of your chronic issues, some exercise is going to help, but is it going to hurt? If you find yourself like, let's go hiking, and I'm going to be in South Carolina, let's go hiking. That might not benefit your back issue, but walking around the neighborhood, that might be a good thing to do. So determine what your level of fitness and ability is. The quality of your health, that's definitely an issue. Your goals, do you want to be able to achieve, making it to this event or that event, and if your illness isn't in a good spot, you won't be able to attend. Your interests just in general. So welcome to your new part-time job, you. Sometimes I say full-time job because it depends on again, where you're at with your health. For me, this is kind of a full-time thing that I do, whether it's teaching or talking and doing the actual training myself. So things that you can do that are going to get you agitated. Working. I know, again, most of you folks might not be working much these days, but if you find yourself doing tasks that are demanding, that would be work. Too much walking or fast walking, that's going to increase your breathing rate. And you're stressed out, that's definitely going to make you maybe a little bit agitated. So things that you can do that are still considered activating your fight or flight would be sitting in a sauna. I don't know if you folks want to sit in a sauna. All you got to do is go outside and you're in a sauna, right? Swimming, again, it's good exercise. Jogging, some of you might not want to be doing jogging. It's a little bit harsh on the joints. So running from a tiger, that's definitely going to get your breathing up. On the opposite side, listening to calm music. That's a good thing. Swimming slow. So you got swimming fast or moderate, you got swimming slow. That can be relaxing and peaceful. The good thing about swimming, do they have a pool here at the facility? So you're taking tension off of the muscles and off the joints for the time that you're in a pool, so you're buoyant. So that's a good thing. You get some relief from that. If the water's warm, it's somewhat soothing. If it's a little bit too cold, then you're kind of irritated again. You don't want to be in the cold water, although cold water is good for you also. So yeah, swimming can get you in that relaxed state. Different exercises, qigong, tai chi, weight training with light weights and slow movement. Meditation, yoga, qigong where you're holding positions. So those are different things. Again, we're going to do a couple things sitting in the chair in a little bit here. Breathe through your nose. You got this whole big area here to breathe through that affects the whole rest of your body. These guys back in 1998 figured this out, that if you breathe through your nose more, aside from it helping you with warm filtered air, that there's a chemical, nitric oxide, that gets released into the bloodstream. And it makes the arteries bigger, so you get more blood flow. So that's one of the main reasons why it's good to breathe through your nose, is because of this nitric oxide. Some of you might have gone to a doctor or a dietitian at some point and they said you need more nitric oxide, and they have supplements. But the best way is breathe through your nose. So our body is basically a pharmacy. And going back to that fight or flight, you're either producing chemicals that are going to help you, manage stress, or you're going to produce chemicals that over time are going to deteriorate and cause you more physical illnesses. Different parts of the endocrine system basically is where the chemicals are produced. So what are the chemicals? These are the four main ones, and there's an acronym for it, DOSE. Dopamine is your reward. You feel good, you get the pat on the back, you did something good. Chocolate might be something. When you eat chocolate, it gives you a little bit of a good feeling. Your body will produce more dopamine if you ingest chocolate. Oxytocin, that's love. When you nurture children or friends, family, you feel good about being in a social network. Those chemicals are produced. Serotonin, that's what makes your emotions go up and down from being depressed to the opposite end, being anxious. And endorphins, your body's way of managing pain from physical exercise. So the term is dose. If you remember that, those are the good things. And like on the previous slides where you listen to music, light physical activity, being around friends, those are all things that increase those chemicals in your body, neurotransmitters. So we have muscles that help you breathe. Again, going back to the earlier slide, breathing isn't just an on or off process. If you're more active and you're moving your torso more, chances are you'll be able to breathe deeper because of all the muscles, not just your diaphragm, but the muscles that are secondary. The muscles in your neck, the muscles on the sides also help with your breathing. So staying active really is a way to manage pain. Although some of you might have knee issues or back issues, and it's like, I can't exercise. If I do that, my knees are gonna bother me even more. How can I manage the pain in my knees if I'm doing some activity that makes my knees hurt more? So that's where you might need to find some of the other options, swimming or using some of these other apparatus. Everybody doing good? Any questions so far? This all makes sense for the most part. You're like, when can we get on with the exercise, Jim? We want to get moving. You keep talking about it, let's do it. So again, we got to take into consideration level of fitness, quality of your health, goals, and interests. So that's why you're all going to do some of this stuff sitting. I'm not going to have you get up and start moving your arms around and stuff. It's all going to be sitting. This shows that as you get older, better to keep exercising. So that would be the guy on the top in the blue, guy on the bottom in the brown. Kind of deteriorates if you're not staying in the game. And that's where it's like the move it or lose it kind of attitude. You got to keep moving. And I'm pretty sure they got a lot of options here at the facility here as far as the health club and classes and things like that. So again, these are just the different activities kind of broken out. So this is the first exercise that I wanted to try with you folks. So when you're sitting in your chair, your hands can be wherever. Usually I try to put my hands on my knees and maybe face up, because that'll take away the tension from your hands. So if you have your hands clenched, that works its way up. So the hands being clenched make the forearms a little tight and the shoulders maybe a little less, but they still become tight. So if your hands are loose, everything can kind of sink and be free to kind of just relax. Palms up, very much an indicator of if your hands are relaxed. If they're here still, you're not relaxed. So with this concept of what's up on the slide here, it's called box breathing. So if we look at me, let's go this way. From the side, I'm a bit of a box or rectangle shape from my shoulders down to my hips. So I'm going to try to breathe in, thinking of my back. I hold my breath for a second, come to the front, and I breathe out as if I was coming down the front side of my body. I guess I should probably turn the other way to match the graphic, right? Didn't realize it was turned that way. So it's, again, a method that you can be aware of your breathing. Just being aware of it will slow it down. And if we put in like pauses, then it's going to get even slower. So again, I'm thinking of my breath starting back here. My lower back, I breathe in, up to my shoulders. I pause when I come forward. Now I'm on the front side, I breathe out, down to my navel. Go through the navel to the back again. So it gets us, it's really a rectangle, but they call it box breathing. And you know what happened? The Navy SEALs adopted this. Navy SEALs for the military, they're under a little bit of stress, you think? They have to, manage their life and others, they're soldiers and warriors. So when they become stressed, they came up with this method to show them to do it. Thing is, it's probably been around for a couple thousand years before that from Indian culture with yoga and other methods that people would use. So now, if you got that pattern down, that's going to get us to slow down, right? Breathing in up the back, pause at the top, breathe out down the front, and back to the lower back. So now we do it with our back and our shoulders. So I start with my shoulders pinned back. I'm going to breathe in, up to my shoulders, relax and let the shoulders come forward. And then down, again, my hands are relaxed, let the shoulders drop down. So back to the lower back. When I go to my lower back, I arch my back. Up to the shoulders. Shoulders come a little forward, relax your back. So now you can put a little bit more, physical movement into it. Instead of just sitting there trying to breathe deep, you can do a little bit of an exercise. Arch your back, round your back, relax your shoulders. Arch your back, lift your shoulders, round your back, drop your arms. So now you have two ways to think and interact. Two things to anchor your thoughts on. Not only am I trying to breathe deep, but I'm also moving my body a little bit. So you're getting a little bit of physical exercise of rolling your shoulders. Anybody in the room have tight shoulders or neck muscles? Once in a while, right? So if I was standing, I would exaggerate this a little bit more. I come all the way back, all the way up, forward, down. I kind of reach. Back, up, down. But I can't forget to breathe. If I don't breathe, I'm missing half of the exercise. So that's a really good way just to get aware of your breath, to slow it down. So if we're doing that, we're definitely getting to where we're taking 4 seconds to breathe in, a couple seconds on the top, 4 seconds down. That gets the breathing down to almost four breaths per minute. And then with 4 breaths per minute, again, the chemistry of your body changes. So anybody ever hear of this autogenic training or autogenic treatment? It's pretty cool. It's similar to what I just started to do here. What we're trying to do is we're thinking of our body in such a way that, say I'm going to lift my arms up. I want my arms to feel like they're light as a feather and floating. And now they're going to drop. I think of them as being heavy, like lead or like concrete dropping into a pool. So again, it gives me something to anchor my thoughts upon so as to not be thinking about the thing that's bothering me, which might be my neck or my back or my shoulders. So if you want to try this, scoot back from the table a little bit. I'm going to turn around. So your back can be up against the rest if you're fine with that, or scoot your rear end a little bit forward so your back is more over your hips. So again, my hands are light as a feather as they come up. And then I let them drop, they feel heavy. So if you're doing this, and you're like this, tension in your neck and shoulders, you're kind of defeating the purpose. So let everything bend. Let everything relax. Everything being your neck, your shoulders, your hands and fingers. So I'm going up, chin up. Arms down, chin down. So I'll keep turning around here. Chin up opens up the airway more. Just like if someone had to have CPR, they tilt the head up. Head up opens the airway. Chin down, exhale, it doesn't matter as much. It's an inhale we want to take in more. So this is arching your back when you're light, rounding your back slightly when you're heavy. So you can also think like there's air conditioning in the room, right? We can feel it. So when you're coming up, try and feel the coolness of the air conditioning. I can feel it's cool on my skin. And then on the way down, feel it warm. Nothing really changed, but you thinking about it. So I can think that I'm light, or I can think that I'm heavy, but nothing changed. It's just my perception of it. So now we take the hands and we go off to the side. So this is a little bit of a neck and shoulder and back exercise, right? We got up, arch your back, chin up slightly. Down, round your back slightly. Take your left hand, and it's light, just like you're putting like a balloon up on the shelf. And bring it back in and put it on your knee and it's heavy. So my right side now, light, heavy. So back to the start. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. So this gesture of moving my arm out is engaging the muscles that help me breathe. When I bring the hand in, those same muscles are contracting, it's squishing the lungs. So you can help your lungs, okay, you're gonna breathe regardless, right? Nobody's not breathing right now. So your lungs are gonna do whatever they do. But if I add movement with my arms, where the muscles connect into the muscles that help move the lungs with the breathing mechanism, you're gonna increase your breathing. So that is a type of autogenic breathing exercise. So what we're also gonna do, up on that list there, it says you're slowing down your breath. So I'm aware of my hands being light and cool as I breathe in. Now they're heavy and warm when they're heavy, right? And I'm breathing out. So it's light, breathing in, and breathe out. Breathe in, light, cool, heavy, warm. Nothing physically changed. It's how you perceive it. And you can do the same thing. Oh, look at that picture. It's so peaceful. Oh, I feel good from that. Yeah, that's good. Or, I don't like those colors. Why'd they do the colors like that? And I squint up my face. And nothing changed. Picture's the picture. It's my perception of it. You can turn on the news. Oh, this news channel gets me all fired up. This other channel agrees with me. It makes me feel good, or it quantifies my beliefs. Turn it off. And then you don't have the input either way. So it's our perception of it. So the other thing up on that list is your heart rate. If you're slowing your breathing down, you're slowing your heart rate down. So we did box breathing with arm and shoulder and spine movement, or just sitting natural and breathing deep but being aware of it. And then we just did some autogenic breathing exercises. Everybody's good? Some of you want to fall asleep, you get so relaxed, right? Coolness of the forehead, that'll happen sometimes if you break a little sweat with managing your breathing, or just like being aware, you start to feel a little bit of sweat. And when you sweat, the body cools, right? That's why you sweat, to help cool the body off. So sometimes it happens on the forehead or down the back. So this guy wrote a book on a whole bunch of these topics that I've talked about here. The book's called Breath. You can get on Amazon. You can probably go to the bookstore. If anybody goes to the bookstore these days, let's get the book, or go to the library. And it talks about why breathing through the nose is so beneficial, all the different topics I talked about. He spent time with these deep divers. I forget what they call them. There's some other term for it. They dive. These people try to set records. And they go down in the water, and there's a string or a rope, and they follow the rope down, and they try to go down as far as they can and try to set records, and then they come back up. Some of them are holding their breath for like 3-4 minutes. 5 minutes, I think, is when the brain starts to say that you're in trouble, and you start, shutting down. Your brain starts to stop. Free diving. That's what it is. So that's what he got a lot of his information from, studying these free divers that were able to do it. And it goes back to the island in Japan that I was talking about, where the people are spending time in the cold water. So a good book, if you want to get that. So reflexology. This guy, he's got all these different things on his whole body, but a lot of these, the pressure points are on the feet, the hands, and the ears. They're all throughout the body. So these are some of the various charts, and I have bigger versions of them as we go farther. But this just kind of shows you the depth and the diversity that they have with this. Different cultures have mapped it. Some of them line up, some of them don't. The Japanese look at it different than the Koreans. Koreans look at it different than Chinese. In modern medicine, they look at it as zones, or what do they call them, dermatones, I think's a name for them. So there's more of a large picture. So say you know some part of your body that you have an issue with, your back, your sciatic nerve. You could try to massage that part on your foot. It's a little awkward for you to get your foot up there and do it though. So there's other things we can do. These shoes, again, stuff that you can get on Amazon, little slipper type things that have little knobbies on them that push on different parts of the body. Or we can do this. So guess what I brought with today, folks? Here's a little knobby ball, or a smooth one if your feet are really sensitive. But I have a bunch of golf balls. So you get one. Even if you don't want to do it, just grab a golf ball for now. So then I have to figure out who's doing it and who's not doing it. So these are multi-purpose. So I'm going to go with the golf ball, even though I brought these. These are just kind of for visual so you can see different things. So if you know the exact part of your body that you want to focus on, again, you can look at the different spots, right? But what works really good is just to put it under your foot instead of doing this. Some of you folks have a hard time getting your feet. I can't reach as easy as I used to. You put the ball on the ground. Carpeting works perfect. I was hoping there wasn't tile in the room, because if there's too much tile, the ball rolls all over the place. So you start to roll. And you can find some part of your foot that's going to be a little more tender than the others. Usually that can line up with a part of your body that might be bothered by whatever chronic issue you have. So the center, like the arch, usually pretty tender anyway. What's in the arch? A lot of the organs, your stomach, your adrenal, pancreas, stomach. Oh, I'll get it. Here, let it go. I'll give you another one here. That's why I brought extras. I didn't want to have to worry about who had it or who lost it. So that's just one. And I'm just kind of, managing it, rolling it around. You can do this while you're watching television or, just sitting around doing anything. So if you're comfortable with one, you could get two. So now, instead of it just being something that hits the pressure points, it's like a coordination exercise. So you got to keep like two of them moving. So that's a little more difficult. I didn't bring enough for everybody to do two, but you get the idea. And then if you wanted to, you could have 2 feet. And you can do them at the same time. And you might notice one is a little more tender than the other. And it's like, oh, yeah, one side of my body, I feel something a little bit more than the other. So oftentimes the feet, the hands, and the ears are what we use for reflexology. It's not just the feet. And then there's other parts of the body too. So now, if you pick up your golf ball, you can do the same thing with your hands. So you could, did you lose? You got one, right? Grab the other one here. You can use one hand, and do it kind of like that, or I just do both hands and then move it around. So if you got rings, I got a couple wedding rings on my hand. It might be a little uncomfortable to remove the rings. So if you had 2, again, you're getting a little more surface area, you're covering more area, but now it's a little coordination exercise. You got to hold 2 of them at the same time. So these are great. Sometimes golf balls aren't enough, and that's why you would use like the spiky ball. And again, a lot of these things are available on Amazon. They're not that expensive. Or you go to the sporting goods store, Walmart has them. One of these things is probably going to be like somewhere between $5 and $10. So golf ball, we live on a golf course, so I just go in the backyard and bring them. So they're cheap for me.
I was in a fitness class where we used the spiky ball to start every session.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, what is this got to do with anything? What? Fitness class and throwing balls on my foot.
Well, if you did it like a couple minutes, you probably feel it like wakes you up a little bit, right?
I didn't understand what was behind it.
It's the acupressure meridians. Instead of using a needle, you're using pressure. So this doesn't do that much for me, okay? Because I don't have as much chronic issue. I manage my neck and my back and stuff when I need to. If I wanted to put more pressure, I would stand up. And now I have more weight that I can put on, but I don't have to because I'm balancing it on my other leg. So if your balance is okay, you can do that, or you hold on to something. So if I just sit, say this is 1 on a scale of 1 to 10. But if I stand up, I can go from 1 up to 5 or 9. Wow, I can put a lot of pressure on it doing it that way. I wouldn't recommend doing 2, one under each foot. You're probably going to have a little challenge with your balance. But again, if I was standing, I could try to do 2. So if any of you have balance issues, that is another exercise that can help, not just with getting the feet stimulated and the nerve endings and that, but the coordination of trying to balance on one leg a little bit while you're doing this. 2 of them, I can feel that a little bit more when I stand up. That's more challenging than when I sit down. So you can adjust it though. So that's kind of cool. So you're welcome to keep the golf ball. I don't know if they have golf balls here. Is that something they have on the facilities? No golf course? So you got one? Yeah, they're good. And they come in different sizes and different textures too. So just a quick review on these things as long as I'm standing up here. This was the TENS device that you can stick on little sticky pads, put them on the 2 areas, and then you can increase the frequency, and it gives like little pulses, like electrical pulses. I talked about moxibustion last week. Was where they take herbs. They take the herbs. I thought I had an open one in here. And they'll put an acupressure needle. If you're familiar with the needles, they're very fine. They're not like a hypodermic needle. And they'll put a little bit of this stuff. So I'm just going to break one open here. So it looks just like dirt, sage, dirt, just real fine. But if you smell it, it has a very unique smell to it, if you want. And when it burns, it's almost like incense. So it heats up the acupuncture needle. You smell it? Very earthy. So it's called mugwort. And you find this at the Chinese grocery stores. They, like I said, had talked about it last time. There's like a part in a Chinese grocery stores, or Korean grocery stores, where there's like a little health food aisle, and they'll have these different things for tonics. And
interesting, something that shoots up.
Yeah, it's a unique smell. So, but they'll put it on the surface, on the needle, and then light it like incense. A little more intense, they would make a little ball out of it, and they would put it on the actual skin in a specific spot on your back, and they would warm it like incense. And before it burned down, they flick it off. So we're not doing that, but I'm just giving you the information so you got an idea. Like if you ever do go to a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, acupuncturist, and they start pulling out stuff, you kind of get an idea what it is. So those shoes, that's a good idea if you can endure the pain. Walking around is going to be a little sensitive. The balls that we just did. So your ears, I don't know if anybody's ever done, has anybody gone to an acupuncturist before? So did you enjoy it? Did you get some benefit from it?
Yes.
Yeah, there's some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I went to 2 different ones. One that just used needles, and one that used needles and massage.
A lot of them will have a couple different types of therapies so that they can prescribe which one's best for the individual. So the ears, they do use needles sometimes, but what's more popular are these little seeds, or it's like a little ball, a little BB kind of. And I'll show you the picture how they do it. But again, all the different parts of the ear connect to different parts of the body. The head is somewhat down here. The ridge on the inside of the ear, the big ridge on the inside, is the spine. You get towards the top, that's more of the lower body stuff. So that's kind of how it looks. They'll put it on there. This is a sheet of, I don't know, it's probably like 50 of them on there. They take a pair of tweezers, and they pinch it on your ear with the tweezers. And then you practice the box breathing, or the other breathing exercise I showed you. As you pinch it, you can pinch your own ear without a little thing on there, and it'll be sensitive. This just magnifies it a little bit more. So that's like a type of breathing exercise with acupressure. So what you folks can do is grab your ears and try to, like you're squeezing them all over the place. And you go from the bottom all the way up the side to the top, and then go in a little bit. And as much as you can feel it, squeeze, as much as you can endure, because it might be a little uncomfortable. And then when you stop, you're going to feel a little more alert, and your ears might feel a little warm. You know, anytime you massage, you're drawing blood to the area because of the, you know, the way the body reacts to pressure and touch or injury. So this, you can do that before you got to do some activity that you want to be a little more awake for. Or you do it before bed, and it might relax you. It has a tendency, when you do a lot of these exercises, to kind of bring you to a middle point. So if you're a little bit down, you want to wake up, massage them. If you're a little bit excited, do it. It might calm you down a little bit. It balances you out. So that's called auricular, the auricle, another name for your ear, therapy. And I actually have another chart on this that you guys might want to look at. It's very detailed when you start getting into it more. If you want to glance at that and then pass it around to the other people. So I'll keep moving on. Anybody have questions on any of this stuff so far?
Are you going inside the ear?
You don't have to. There are points inside the ear, and they will put that little ball, that little BB thing on the little Band-Aid thing in, I forgot what the name farther in. There's a name for that part that I'm not familiar with the name is right now. The outside is all the different things that are on that chart and on the previous one. So in here, more so in the center, that's the nose and the ear. So I've had that done for sinuses, where they put it kind of inside. So when I had to practice like the breathing exercise with it, where you just push your finger in the ear and it pushes on the little bead, and then you deep breathe, and you do it a couple times, and it is very uncomfortable. You wouldn't think it is so much just by touching it, but with that little seed, they use seeds sometimes. These are little steel bearings, stainless steel. It's a little more sharp, acute, the pain. But again, that stimulates energy in the body. So this is a bit more of how acupressure can be used for back pain. Almost everybody in the United States, probably worldwide, at some point in their life will have some problem with their back. Whether it's discomfort, pain, injury, stiffness, you know, we're standing, we're sitting, all these different things make our back susceptible. So there's points above the lower back, kind of hard to get to, but if you went in for treatment, they would do it there. There's a spot inside your elbow, back of your knees, back of the buttocks. These make a little bit more sense because you got the sciatic nerve that goes through that area. So if you apply acupuncture, acupressure, massage, those areas are going to help with back pain. Spots on your foot, spots on your hand. Again, here's a map of what the hand looks like in relation to different parts of the body. So if your lower back is bothering you, you should massage towards the bottom part, the center of your palm. If your neck bothers you, it's all the way at the top of the middle finger. So if you do this like one time, you're probably not going to feel any results. Acupuncture, acupressure, a lot of these things, it's not a one-time fix. And that's where Western medicine kind of has the upper hand on stuff. It's like, well, if I take this pill, I'll feel almost immediate results. I'll feel better very soon. But the root problem doesn't really get fixed. Some of these things will take time. So you massage this. If my back was bothering me, I'd be doing it all throughout the day. And for like 4 or 5 minutes at a time. And then later in the day, do it again, do it again. So these are not quick fixes. But the benefit is it's getting the energy moving. So hopefully you're getting closer to the root cause of what the problem is. If you're sitting in a chair all day long, that's the root cause. This isn't going to help if you constantly are sitting in a chair all day long. Got to get up out of that chair. So the back points, like I said, are on that big ridge. Here's the neck. Neck is towards the bottom. Tailbone is towards the top. I have done that. I've had those all up and down my ridge there for lower back pain, neck pain, and then, like I said, allergies. Stuff worked. Usually took 4 or 5 treatments once a week, and then I did get results for it. And it lasted for about 6 to 8 months. And then what I would do after that, I would continue to do exercises with my Tai Chi and martial arts and Qigong, and that would build up my structure and my breathing and my heart rate and all those things, and then I didn't have to go back to the acupuncturist. So again, just different ways of looking at it. Each one's mapped a little bit differently. Hands, very, very much detail on how we can do that. So traditional Chinese medicine goes along this idea that you have actually 6 meridians that are on your hands, Go up and down the body, and then 6 on your feet. So do you need to know all of them? No. What we were just doing, rolling the ball around, you don't need to know it. This thing right here is another way to hit different acupressure points. So it's kind of a broom, if you will, and you tap. So I can hit all of those acupressure points and meridians just by doing this. So you folks looking at it like, oh, he's hitting himself. It must hurt.
Strikes me as self-flagellation.
That kind of hurts, right? Being that these are, I think these are called rattan. I think that's the material, the plant, the wood. And it's all loose. You don't feel much. If anything, a little bit of vibration, maybe a little bit of stinging, but with clothes on, it's not so bad. But what now I'm feeling, just doing that, a couple seconds later, I can feel the body warm up. Like my right arm right now is kind of like pulsing, and it's warm. So these are homemade ones. You used to be able to go to Joann's, not sure how much longer. Joann's is closing shop. They're going out of business, the craft and arts place. And you would buy a bundle of them, put some tape around it. You can do the same thing. So say your neck is always bothering you. You got a stiff neck. There's a specific series that you can do throughout the whole body to cover all of them, but you can just tap on that area. So they use these in the arts and crafts community for aromatherapy. They'll put these in a little jar with lavender or whatever aromatherapy, and then the water or the fluid diffuses through it, and the whole thing gets kind of absorbed and it smells. So that's what they use them for. We use them for exactly what I just showed you. So this is the one I bought in Colonial Town. They got a lot of the Asian supermarkets and stores like that. Bought this one there, it was like $20. These are the ones I made on my own. Going to Joann's, cost about $10. So you can order them on Amazon, same thing. So it's something that you can also reach farther down your back, or if you can't get to your foot. I can't massage my feet, but again, I can do this. And at first, again, it seems a little daunting, but you can pass it around and try it. Once you feel it, it's like, oh, this isn't so bad.
What's it called?
Rattan hitter or healing broom. I think of those, the brooms they have around the holidays, around Thanksgiving and Halloween, the cinnamon broom. And you get that thing and you hang it up or whatever and it smells good. That's why I look at it, it's kind of like a broom, if you will. Yeah, it takes a little getting used to like how you're going to manage it, but if you have a little bit of mobility with your shoulder, then you can do it. And the farther down you are to the end of it, the harder you can hit because it's all the loose part. Like here. Can I have it back? So if I'm down here, this is the loosest part. Sounds louder, sounds like it's hurting, not so much. Down here, it's more tightly bound. So that's where I wouldn't use that. It's not doing much, but it is a lot more condensed. So, yeah, now everybody's gonna run over to.
My shoulder's hurting a lot, and there's a spot right here
Yeah.
that I can feel.
It will, at the very least, get your blood moving. Energy, again, is how Eastern cultures look at it. You're getting the energy moving. It's kind of interchangeable as far as our discussion. Are you really trying to get your energy moving, or are you trying to get your blood moving? For our discussion of managing chronic pain, it's the same difference. Get the body moving in whatever way to release the tension, get the blood, get the energy moving, so you're managing your pain.